Welcome to the Bill Levinson Experience, a motivational podcast relating to the insurance brokerage industry and business in general. And now, here's Bill Levinson.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Bill Levinson Experience. So, as you know, we feature a different guest speaker every month on our podcast, and this month's speaker I'm very, very excited about, and the reason why, actually there's a lot of reasons why, but one of the main reasons why is, as you know, Levinson and Associates, we're a well-known IMO, or independent marketing organization in the insurance space, and we've been around since 1972. But if you know me, like face-to-face or through our training webinars or our podcast, whatever it is, you know I'm always pushing the envelope when it comes to technology and the life insurance industry. Okay, we were one of the first to come out with the first e-application, electronic policy delivery, 10, 15 years ago. And fast forward to today, our Insure Me Now direct platform, some know it as Sell While You Sleep, has taken a huge push forward, especially starting this pandemic with COVID-19 back in February, March. So we now have 5 different carriers, over 15 products on the platform that are all 100% direct to consumer. So again, if you know me by now, this has been a dream come true for me. So one of the major carriers on the platform, and our only term product now moving forward, is Haven by MassMutual. And today's guest speaker is Mr. Yaron Ben-Zvi, who is the CEO of Haven Life, who's owned by MassMutual. So I'm delighted to have Yaron on with us today. So thank you so much, Yaron. We appreciate you taking the time and diving in today.
It's great to be with you. Thanks, Bill.
Yeah, no problem at all. So, as everyone knows, especially if you've seen our marketing and lately in Insurance Newsnet magazine, we are constantly out there pushing life insurance agents to utilize our technology, especially now because, let's face it, there's no more of these face-to-face, dining room table dinners at Wednesday night at 8 p.m. before the kids go to bed, right? Everything is over the phone and through these webinars and go-to meetings, right? We know how this works. So isn't it great to send out your link, right, as an insurance agent to your prospect to say, hey, just run a quote on my site. You can sign up online. You can get an instant decision and print and save your policy, and you're done in less than 8 minutes. That's a dream come true in our industry. And I don't know, I just feel like for an insurance agent these days to not incorporate the latest technology, I hate to say it, but it's like driving a car in reverse or riding a horse around New York City in 2020. It just doesn't happen anymore, right? So let's all start to think forward. I think it's huge. And what Yaron Ben-Zvi has put together with Haven and MassMutual and then incorporated his platform into Insure Me Now Direct is huge. So anyway, so excited about this. And, I'm just going to say one more thing, and then I'm going to ask my first question here. But, I remember sitting in these boardroom meetings with NALBA and LIMRA and NAFA and me and probably 3 or 4 other tech vendors, right, in the space. So I was the distributor, and they were from the technology companies. And we were sitting there, preaching to 50, 60 carriers saying, hey, you guys, you really need an e-application. It's going to change the way you do business. Other industries are doing this. And they looked at us and said, Bill, we're never going to have an e-application because insurance agents aren't going to use an e-application. They love printing, faxing, mailing 30-page applications, and they're not going to change. And I looked at Bill Atlee from my pipeline, and he looked at me, and we were like, this is nuts. And they were looking at us like we had 4 heads. They said, we're crazy. And then you fast forward to today, agents are calling in constantly saying, hey, I only want the carriers that have an e-application. So look at the shift. And now it's another shift with Haven and Insure Me Now Direct. So with that said, let's jump right into this podcast. And now you know how important this is to me and hopefully for you all. Okay, so Yaron, if we can just start, if you can tell us a little bit about yourself, maybe growing up, how you got into the business, a little bit about education, anything you want to dive into, that would be great.
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. So I was actually born in Israel, but I grew up here in the United States and really never expected to end up in insurance, which is probably what a lot of people say. But I'm very glad that I did. And I've always kind of been fascinated in my career with kind of industries and places where technology was making an impact and kind of changing how business was done. So I actually started my career at a company called Oxygen Media, which is now the cable television company for women. As that company was really focusing on online and digital and how technology was changing media. And then, ended up in a space where I was actually, in kind of a social media research company, interested in how technology was kind of changing the research space, and finally ended up in fintech after several years. And I really ended up finally with insurance because I actually went through the experience of having to buy a policy as a customer. My daughter was born, and my dad tapped me on the shoulder and said, hey, you got to do two things, right? You got to start a college fund, and you got to get a life insurance policy. And one of the things that really opened my eyes was going through that process and seeing that, I went through, Bill, exactly the process that you described of like having paper, 30 pages, being faxed back and forth, it taking 2 months for me to get a policy. And having lived in the technology industry, it just kind of opened my eyes to a space where it felt like things had to change. Things had to get more digital. Things had to be made easier for agents and advisors to actually work. And so I got licensed as an advisor and kind of threw myself as an agent, threw myself into the space, and have loved it ever since. One of the things that I've always said is what drives me is really kind of intellectual curiosity and learning new things. And life insurance has been this joyous prize of kind of complexity and really interesting kind of technology problems and customer problems that I've really just enjoyed being a part of.
Yeah, no, that's huge. And I feel like so many people, talk, especially in the last few years, there's been so many of these Silicon Valley startup companies, and they're trying to dive into the space, and, they don't realize what's involved. They're looking at it like from an outsider's perspective, from the tech side, and saying, hey, we can make this better and easier. And then all of a sudden, when they dive into the carrier space and you're talking about, the reinsurance company and compliance attorneys, it's like, wait a minute, hit the brakes, maybe we need to make a little change here. And then most of these talks, these meetings wind up not going anywhere. But it looks like you've done just the opposite of that. You took this great idea and turned it into something. So you should be very proud of that. I love it.
Being a part of MassMutual, so as you know, Bill, right? All MassMutual's a carrier. All the policies we sell are issued on their paper. Haven is really kind of the entity that wraps the technology around and kind of works with folks like yourself, Levinson, and Insure Me Now, and kind of thinks about how we can bring that technology from the carrier to just really interesting points of distribution and where we can kind of meet customers in ways that they want and expect now.
Yep, which you guys have achieved that goal. So especially like when I talk to agents, we do these weekly trainings, and I tell everyone, I mean, yes, if you want a spreadsheet, a 30-year-old female at $100,000 on a 20-year term, the least expensive rate that's out there, you're going to find products that are less expensive, okay? But You're going to go through the underwriting, the obstacles, the roadblocks, exams, especially exams during this time is almost impossible. So I always say, especially if it's for a younger, healthier client or family, always look at Haven's quoting, because you're going to have a policy issued in 7 to 10 minutes, where if you save the $6 or $7 a month, obviously it could take 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks, and anything can come up. As you know, the client can change their mind in that time, and whatever the case is. So I love what you guys are doing. Big believer in this technology platform. And also, before we jump in, too, I think it's important, we're adding this new term product that's basically tied to a paycheck, to where, and I'm sure Yaron, you can talk about it a little more intelligently than I can, but it's basically a term product where the insured, or when the insured passes on, the beneficiary will receive that monthly salary check, right? That's equivalent. Is that kind of how it works?
Yeah, that's exactly right. We're adding this product called Haven Secure, and you know this really well. One of the challenges in talking to customers often is to get them to sort of understand how to think about the benefit of and the value of the product we sell. So the great thing about this decreasing term product is it kind of lets you talk about it in such a way where, hey, look, what's your monthly income? And this product is going to help you kind of replace that target monthly income, which is how people just think about their financial lives normally, right? It's hard for a customer to triangulate what a $500,000 or $1 million death benefit looks like. But when you talk about it as, it's your paycheck, that's something that people just naturally get.
Yeah, I love it. And it's a niche. And it's a product that is not out there today on any platform. So I think this is going to be a good hook. Plus, it's priced a little better than the typical level term product. So I love that. We're very excited about that. We're actually working with the programmers now and getting that set up. So everyone should be excited about that. We're going to send out some more information later this afternoon, or if you're hearing this down the road, just let us know, and we'll shoot you off an email with all the info to get you started. Okay, so that's good. And I know I heard there's going to be new products down the pipeline as well. So we'll dive into that at another time. Okay, let's shift gears a little bit. So, obviously the topic right now is this whole COVID-19 coronavirus issue that the whole world is dealing with. Like it or not, this has changed our industry in the last few months, okay? You're seeing carriers that are pulling back on underwriting requirements. We've seen products go away. We've seen reduced issue ages. We're seeing companies that demanded a face-to-face interview, right, with the agent and the client now has changed to, let's say, through a webinar or a voice sign or e-sign, whatever the case is. So things are changing, and as a agent during this time, you have to change. You have to think forward, right? It's different than it was. And for, we have some agents that are veterans and they've been in the insurance industry for 40, 50 years, and they want to use their yellow legal pad in a rate book, and they're so against, selling over the phone or selling online. Well, guess what? Now you have to change, okay? Or you're, again, riding a horse in New York City. So now is the time. And Yaron, if you don't mind, I wanted to just get your take on, what you're seeing, any changes, any different marketing approach. It's funny. You said, I think you guys have an office in Manhattan. I actually flew into New York City, and I was in Manhattan. I went to visit with Gary Vaynerchuk, who's a big social media guru. We did a 1-hour podcast, and I remember walking into his office, and he had over 1,000 employees that were like almost shoulder to shoulder in this huge space. And, I said to myself, I'm like, well, first of all, this is very, very impressive. But you think about it now during COVID-19, and it's like you talk about shifting gears and changing a business model. He had to move quick and figure out a solution. So, I was just curious, like on your take on all of this and any changes or increases or decreases that you're seeing.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think you've hit the nail on the head. I think the biggest thing that I see with kind of COVID and the way the world is changing is that it's really just accelerating a lot of the themes that I know we and folks like yourself have already been seeing in the market for the last 10 years, which is, it's got to be easy. It's got to be technology driven and digital. And it's got to be clear to the customer what the value is. And so if I look just at Haven Life and our numbers, the 4 months starting March to June, I think our app volume was up something like 50%, right? Because number one, people are at home thinking about the protection in a way they haven't before. And number two is they're really looking for the easiest ways to get things done and cross things off their list because they got a lot on their mind. They're not going to meet with somebody at the office. They're going to do stuff online and on the phone. And we've seen that, with everyone and kind of all the ways that people are doing business. Everyone is doing stuff on the phone, online, and the digital tools and the technology that you have that are going to support that become that much more critical. I think what's interesting for us is because we did have that office in Manhattan, is as a company moving to remote in some ways was really easy, kind of technology wise, and we were able to support that big bump in business and kind of everything that comes along with that. The hardest piece, and you and I were talking about this a little bit, is how do you kind of continue to kind of support your culture and the excitement when everybody is kind of at home alone and kind of getting that group connection with your peers becomes a little bit tougher.
Yeah, and that's the trick, and I think for an independent agent, that's where discipline comes in, and you have to keep your mind, exercise, just like your bicep muscle. It's the same thing. If it's a podcast, a training, if you're into Tony Robbins or temple, church, yoga, anything, you have to keep moving forward. And I think, luckily we're still in our office in South Florida, and most of us are here, and then we have some employees remote. But we were fortunate enough to have most of our staff here and keep the sizzle going. We have, for the remote workers, we have these check-in calls, I'm sure just like you guys. But it's definitely a challenge. And I'm also going to mention this. You talk about the premium increase. So, we had this Insure Me Now Direct platform for 7 years now, and it was, like I said, a dream for me. I probably said it 3 times already just on this call. The problem that we had one carrier on the platform because, 7 years ago, these carriers said to me, Bill, you are crazy. If you think we're going to go put our product on a website where a client can go on, quote, apply, and get approved without having to see an agent, you're out of your mind. So we had one carrier, we had one decreasing term product, and, we sold some premium. We did okay. But my point is, you fast forward to today now, and like I said, we have 5 carriers, and Haven is our only term product and the best term product for this type of sale, number one. But so think about 7 years. Now, all of a sudden, this pandemic hits in February, March. Well, guess what? In June, we had our biggest month of applications submitted and placed on Insure Me Now Direct. So it just proved the concept to me, and it showed me that, agents are willing to learn about this and spread the word to their network, their clients, their friends, their family, team up with health agencies, P&C agencies, and spread the word online and through social media. So anyway, the proof is in the pudding, and it worked perfectly, and the numbers are only going up from here. And I feel like, as far as COVID, like it or not, the discussion around the dinner table, right? And I feel like, unfortunately, or not, the families are sitting at home, right, during lunch, breakfast, dinner now, and the discussion is coming up about life insurance because they're saying, well, if mommy or daddy, God forbid, get COVID and pass on, are we going to be okay? So the conversation is up. Life insurance awareness is skyrocketing, and in turn, policies are being sold. And that's what I think you're seeing and we're seeing, Yaron. So, there's no good part of COVID-19, but as an insurance agent to be part of this industry right now is a godsend, in my opinion. Thank God. You hear about, all these horror stories with people in restaurant businesses or entertainment businesses that are closing doors every day. So we're all fortunate, and most important, we're helping these families get through this. So anyway, I think that you can put a positive spin on this and make sure that you're progressing and moving forward. Okay, so real quick, I want to shift gears again. So Yaron, I heard you're a Wharton School grad, which is huge. I love to see that you're very well educated in our space, in the tech space, and I love asking this question. If you could go back 20 years, what would you tell the younger version? Maybe that would have helped you even more with your success as one of the top tech life platforms in the country today.
Yeah, well, I'd probably slap myself up on the head a little bit first and say grow up. Putting that aside, I think, the thing that I always tell people, and kind of especially younger folks in their career, is two things. Number one is, first, don't be so anxious about where you're going. I know when I was younger and kind of starting out and coming out of college, I had a lot of, I think, anxiousness around what does success look like and chasing approval and validation. And I think as you move on in your career, you realize that those are not things that are kind of long-term motivators in some way. It's really about finding a place where you can add value and substance and really hopefully do something positive for a customer or the world or whatever that is. And so that's probably what I would tell myself is I've learned over and over again in my career that, start with the customer, think about who you want to help and let that lead, and the rest of the good stuff typically follows. If you do that well, who you're trying to serve, why you're trying to serve them. I think, you'll always kind of wake up for work feeling motivated, no matter the challenges, and there will be challenges.
Yeah, no, that's big. That's and that's like they always say, it's like you never chase the money. It's like, where can you figure out your value add proposition, right? Chase after that, and everything else will kind of fall into place. And it's like, and I'll just say this, and then we'll move on. We have about 15 minutes left, everyone, but I want to make sure we hit all these important topics. My father, we started in 1972, and Kerry, my father, was an old MetLife agent from Brooklyn, New York. The typical, short sleeve dress shirt with the tie that stops at your belly button kind of, mentality. And, he would always say, it's like, you're in this business. Yes, you're obviously want your commissions. You got to support your family. But as soon as you deliver a death benefit check to a family that's in, crisis mode, where the father or mother just passed on, and you're bringing a check for, $100,000 tax-free, that it changes your perspective and makes you look at your profession in a totally different new light. So that goes to exactly your point, Yaron. It's like you got to figure out the value add and how you can help out, and then build from that point on.
Yeah.
So yeah, I love that angle. Okay, so now we're going to just get into a little personal motivation. I'm a very big motivational guy. I think it's so important to feed your head constantly. I'm just curious. I think we're about the same age, and you've built a hell of a business, a career. I know you're a family guy. What motivates you every day, physically, mentally? Is there any good tips, maybe some books, or I don't know if you follow anyone, anything you can share with the audience?
So I'm actually, a couple things. I am a meditation guy. So I try, and don't always succeed, but I try to get my 10 minutes in the morning of mindfulness meditation, which I just think is huge. If you've not tried it, I think really helps you focus on kind of what's important, clear your head, and really, I think is a real motivator toward, putting your energies in the right place, because it's really easy to stroll through your month or your year and focus on things that'll take up your time, but maybe won't give you a lot of satisfaction and won't move your career forward. So that for me is a huge one. the other thing that for me that I always kind of keeps me going and motivating is just the people on my team. So I think especially, if you're starting out as an agent or, even if you're later on in your career, spending time thinking about the people that you're spending your time with, surrounding yourself with, getting advice from, all of that is so hugely important. And for me, I've had the pleasure of building this team with Haven Life and with MassMutual that is just, I love, they challenge me all the time. I learn from them all the time. And, that's a big motivator for me to kind of keep that going and do right by them and have that kind of culture that we've built to persist.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I love it. That whole meditation thing, I'm actually working on that now, and I think it helps you accomplish like trying to be present, like in the moment. I'm myself working on. I think that's huge. For me, it's the gym. I have to get my workouts in daily, or I'm just not myself. So whatever it is that works for you, great. But I was just curious to hear your thoughts on that. Okay, this is a big one. Where are you guys today as far as Haven and MassMutual? And I'm just curious, what the direction that you want to go in is. Are you planning on building out more products? And just curious to hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah, so I think we're going to continue to be focused in two areas. One is obviously our technology, which we've been talking a lot about here, but just continuing to focus on making that better, making sure that it can kind of serve all of our distribution partners, our customers in ways that are best in class and continue to stay ahead of the curve on that. I think that's one big area of focus for us and continuing to bring that to just different partners. I think another one is then using that to start to think about more products, right? So you already, Bill, we're talking about one of our newer products, which is that Haven Secure Decreasing Term product. We're certainly thinking about other ones where we can bring the same kind of how can we make it simple, how can we make it digital, how can we kind of enable different distribution partners along the way. And we've already got some kind of new products in the work there that we're thinking about, and hopefully we can share more about that with you soon.
Yeah, no, that would be great. By the way, everyone, we're going to do this again soon as well. So we're always going to bring out these bigger and better episodes. We'll share more info, technology, product-wise, all the above. So this is just the beginning. All right, so this is one of my favorite questions here. So I don't know if you had a mentor growing up, or if it was a parent or family member, whatever it is. For me, it was a mentor that changed my life. Also, my father, of course. But I love to hear these success stories. If you can share one with us, it could be business or personal. Maybe something that happened that changed your direction. Whatever, anything you wanna share with the audience.
Yeah, sure. So I'll share kind of I couldn't agree more. Look, I think there's so many people in my life that have been instrumental in getting me here, quite frankly, and just keeping me on a path that was true to what I was going to be passionate about. And I think sometimes you almost don't know who those people are going to be. I'll share one story, which is when I was in college, I studied at Wesleyan University, which is a great school and I loved, and I did a typical liberal arts kind of major, which really actually I got a lot out of and really learned how intellectual curiosity is kind of a key value for me. But as I was graduating, I didn't know, quite frankly, what I wanted to do with my life. And so I had this one professor. He was an economics professor of mine, but he actually had a law degree. So I went to talk to him and I was like, hey, I'm thinking about going to law school because it seemed like a good idea, seemed like it was going to put me on a path. And he sat me down, and I just remember he looked at me and he goes, sounds great. Why do you want to go to law school? And I said to him, well, I don't know. It just feels like I could do lots of different things with it. It could, it could put me down this path. It could put me down that path. And he said, get out of my office and come back when you have a good reason for why you're going to go to law school.
Oof.
And so I didn't, which was kind of tough love words.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't have a good reason. And the reality is I never actually found one. And so I didn't go to law school. I ended up going to business school a few years later. But at the same time, when I went to business school, it was after I'd been in the working world for 4 or 5 years and had a really good reason about why I wanted to go. And so I think he kind of put me on this path of like being thoughtful about my choices in my career, that I think otherwise I just wouldn't have had. And so I kind of still thinking about that moment today, and it's something I carry with me, and I try to bring that same tough love to some of the young folks that I talk to now.
Yeah, no, that's been, look how that one conversation changed the entire direction of your life. I mean, you could have been in a totally different place just by,
Yep.
a 15-minute conversation. It's just crazy to think, what could have been. So,
yeah. No, that's such a great point. I mean, if he had said the opposite, I'd probably be a lawyer right now. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but I'm not sure that was the right choice for me, right? So I with the power of hindsight, he was really smart.
Yep. No, I love it. I love it. All right. So I'm gonna kind of wrap up the last few questions into one question. If we can we'll shift gears again. And I want to talk a little bit about just like marketing in general, social media, where you guys are seeing the best results. So I told you I had that 1 hour podcast with Gary Vaynerchuk, and the purpose was to train our agents on, to use the basic, Facebook, social media, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn platforms to spread the word and get their message out there. So we put a lot of time and resources into this, and I was just curious to hear from your perspective on, what's working, what's not, or any ideas around social media marketing or online with websites or SEO or anything that you can share with everyone?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think from my perspective, I think the thing to remember with this is no one tool is ever going to be a silver bullet, right? It's really a question in my mind of thinking about how you can bring the various tools in a way that's really authentic to you. So, we have a lot of success with content and social, but I think you have to use those tools in a way that feels like authentic to your voice and kind of who you're trying to serve, right? I think Facebook is a great tool. Having a blog where you can share your thoughts is a great tool. We do both of those things, but it has to be in a way that kind of fits your business and kind of your voice. That is almost more important to me than, what is the particular tool or technology that you're using.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. And, the way I look at it is like, I just saw on Good Morning America, what was it, two days ago, there was a young boy that was doing this ballet dancing in the rain from like a third world country. And he was doing an unbelievable job. I mean, he's doing this ballet. I don't know the names of ballet dances, but he was doing this beautiful dance while it was raining, and you can see like these like wooden shacks all around him. So obviously a very, very poor country or area, but he did such a great job. What happened is the big ballet school in Miami actually saw this video and gave this young boy a full scholarship to their school. So, when I saw that, it makes you think, what happened is that this boy put the video on YouTube, right? And next thing you know, this college in Miami saw it and gave this kid a 4-year free tuition, full scholarship, full ride. So my point is, with social media available and YouTube and your smartphone, you can get your message out there quickly. If you have this great, personality, the gift to gab, and life insurance like the back of your hand, and you have a great spin, have your spouse hold up a smartphone and get your message out there. And little by little, you have 2 views and then 10 and then 100. But the point is, before, when you were just locked into, say, South Florida and a Tri-County area, now that same, Bill Levinson hotshot insurance agent could be known all over the country in days, just like this young boy from this third world country. So you never know how far you can take it. And with these free platforms, there's no limit. Okay, so just like Yaron said, get your voice out there. And your personality could be so great. You could be the neighborhood rock star. Why can't you be the United States rock star and the insurance go-to, right, by using these platforms and leveraging technology? So, all right, enough of my rant, but I'm such a big believer on this. I think it's so important. Okay, we're gonna wrap this up. Yaron, is there any – sorry?
Go ahead. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Yeah, no, it's okay. I just wanted to see if there's anything else you wanted to leave our audience with, any last comments. I have a few that I'm going to mention, but I didn't want to jump ahead of you. If there's anything you want to leave with.
I guess I'll just say I think it's such an exciting time to be an agent, and I think it's such an exciting moment to sort of combine, the power of digital and social media and the technology that we're all bringing to bear with, the kind of continued value of just white glove service and serving your customers well. It feels like that's a unique opportunity in this moment, in this time. And we're thrilled to be a part of that and to be kind of sharing that message that hopefully resonates with folks who are building a business and trying to serve customers well. So thanks for that. And hopefully, the technology that we build can be an enabler for some of the folks listening.
Oh, yeah, it already has been. So I'll end with this. Thank you, Yaron. By the way, that was perfect, spot on, and I just want to say you have such a great opportunity here. Obviously, focus on your day-to-day sales, your $10 million indexed universal life product for estate planning. Yes, still continue to go after those sales, but have this running in the background for those younger families that want to log on at 2 a.m. and run a quote while the kids are sleeping, and they need a, $400,000 or $500,000 term product. Use this in your back pocket, and obviously you still get paid full commission just as if you were face-to-face. So just always keep this in mind. Keep it running on autopilot. We have the tools to help you do that. And thanks to Yaron and his team, they have furnished us one of the best term products on a platform like this. And it's only going to get bigger and better. So anyway, this is a game changer, folks. We basically taken this dinosaur life insurance industry, right, and moved it forward into the new world. So run with this. We've also put a contest together. We know once you write your first Haven app, right, once your client goes on your site, runs a quote, signs up, you're going to be off to the races because you're going to see how easy it is. So what we're doing, write your first Haven app, okay? You get a free Amazon Fire tablet. That simple, no small print, done. Levinson is handling all of that for you. Okay, with that said, again, Yaron, thank you so much. Love what you're doing. Love what you've done, and I know it's only going to get better in the future. Thank you to you all for joining us. It's been a pleasure. We will see you again next month. Great selling, and be safe. Take care.
Thank you for joining us for the Bill Levinson Experience. Please feel free to share this podcast with anyone you think would be interested. You may also visit levinsonandassociates.com and all of Bill Levinson's social media pages for more information.